Hey, what's up guys? John here. Kamala Harris supports Joe Biden's plan to increase capital gains to 44.6%.
President Biden's proposal for taxing the wealthy would make the capital gains tax the highest in the world.
In addition to this, an unrealized capital gains tax of 25% for high net worth individuals. This single post received 9.4 million views. Now, when you start to look at what's going on, I mean, you go look directly at the source, which I'm going to show you, treasury.gov, you'll realize that we're walking into a world of problems in America. And increased taxes are going to make things so much worse. Did you know 46% of all taxes are paid by the top 1%? 46%, 45.8% are paid by the top 1%. Now, when we start pursuing them and we start trying to tax them and trying to get more and more and more, what are they going to do? They're going to take their enterprise, their businesses, they're going to take it elsewhere. They're going to leave this country. And we're going to be walking into a situation where our job market's going to start falling apart because of it. What made America great was opportunity for a better life, working hard, creating economic output. Right? People came to America for that opportunity. Well, when you start stripping away that opportunity, America is going to be a third world country. And when you start to look at this, you're already starting to see the job market's falling apart. Like, already, U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than originally thought 35 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, 1 hour ago, right? This job market, this economy, it's all not what it seems. And when you start to see what these policies are going to be and how this is all going to work, you'll realize we're walking into Venezuela. It's basically, what Venezuela went through is what we're likely going to be walking into if we start walking into all of this. In this video, I'm going to break it down and show you on this source, on their website, exactly what's happening. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share this content to educate the people about what's really going on in our economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer in American history, we'd love to help you at my company, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for tomorrow and check out reviews on Trustpilot. Take a look at this. So this is Yahoo Finance. Said that Vice President's commitment to closing loopholes that disproportionately benefit high earners, echoing the language of the White House budget proposal itself. Since the rich typically rely more on investment income than salary, the budget would tax capital gains at the same rate as regular income for individuals earning $1 million or more. Now, if you make $1 million a year, you're doing well, obviously, doing really well. But not as well as making $1 million 2, 3, 4 years ago. Now, if you make $1 million a year and you live in California, or you live in New York, or you live in LA or San Francisco, any of these expensive locations, what you're going to realize is, for California, for example, state and federal taxes 54%. So you're left with 46% of that million, 460 grand, making maybe 35,000 bucks a month. If you have a house in California, it's $1.5 million, $2 million bucks. Just your mortgage, property tax, and insurance are probably $10,000 or $12,000 a month. You're left with 20 grand left, right? You have student loan bills, food costs, cell phone bills, health insurance. You start adding everything up, you're not left with a ton left, right? You have a little bit left. Maybe you save $150,000, $200,000 a year at the end of the year. That's if you're making $1 million. How many people are making $1 million, right? The person making $1 million, you think they're going to sit there and tolerate that? No. They're going to get up and relocate, right? We don't want to push these high-income earners out of our economy, but it looks like that's where we're likely headed. And also, they're going to be going after carried interest loopholes, which the White House budget proposal says allows some wealthy investment fund managers to pay tax at a lower rate than secretaries. Now, if it's really about combating inequality and not letting secretaries and lower income careers get the brunt of this, we should look at how we spend money. For example, just look at this. This is May 10th. We've already spent $175 billion on this. $175 billion. If you look at how many homeless people we have in America, 582,000. If you take $175 billion divided by 582,000, we could have literally bought every single homeless person in America a home in cash. $300,000, right? The average home in America is $327,000. So every homeless person in America could have a home, hypothetically, right? Every vet could have been taken care of. We almost could have ended almost all of America's food problems. We have food insecurity, 25% of the U.S. population. we could have done a lot, right? We chose to do something else. But just imagine if we increased the capital gains taxes, we start taxing unrealized gains, the amount of people that will lose their jobs over this will be huge. It'll be catastrophic. And as we start to see people lose their jobs, there's going to be more and more and more demand for government assistance, subsidies, financial support, welfare programs, Section 8. All of this is going to continue to grow as the demand for it is going to multiply, right? And there's going to be less revenue to tax. So there's going to continue printing more and more and more money. It's just going to be a complete disaster. However, the most striking proposal is what the IFC Media, the leading publishing house for the global wealth management industry, calls a radical departure from normal taxation, the taxing of unrealized gains for the ultra rich. An old investing adage is that you don't lose anything until you sell it. Conversely, since unharvested returns are unrealized gains, they're not subject to taxation, at least not yet. Her proposed 25% on unrealized gains for centimillionaires with 9-figure fortunes or more would be a watershed moment for the U.S. tax policy. Now, if you have a company that's, let's say, doing $10 million a year, right? And $10 million a year in gross sales, right? Not net income, $10 million. In gross income, $10 million. Maybe you're making $2, $3, $4 million a year. And maybe it's a SaaS company, or maybe it's a company online with a high multiple. And maybe they value that company at being worth $100 million. And you now would have to strike a check for $25 million? Most of those founders don't have $25 million in liquid. Most of them might have $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, but a lot of it's tied up in inventory. It's tied up in their warehouse, tied up in all these different loans and expenses that they have operating their business. It's going to push America to lose that edge that America once had. Now look at the change here. March 2023, and now this is fiscal year 2025. Now, first page is, scroll down here, revenue proposal. Reform business taxation, raise corporate income tax rate 28%, increase the corporate alternative minimum tax to 21%, increase the excise tax rate on repurchase of corporate stock and close loopholes, limit tax avoidance through inappropriate leveraging of parties' divisive organizations, and it goes on and on. It's increasing taxes across every single sector, even going to housing, modify energy taxes, eliminate fossil fuel taxes, eliminate drawbacks, petroleum taxes, and they go on, strengthening taxation for high-income taxpayers, modify rules relating to retirement plans, support workers' families' economic security, modify estate and gift taxes, closing other loopholes. This is only on third, fourth page, and it just continues to go onward and onward and onward. And they say that at the end, they need to extend mandatory funding provided to the IRS through fiscal year 2034. So the IRS is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I personally think we're walking into a disaster here, an absolute disaster. They also go after the 1031 exchange. So if you're a real estate investor, you know what that is, where let's say you buy a multifamily property for $1 million and then say it goes to $2 million and you want to sell that property, but you do not want to pay that $1 million in tax. You want to do a 1031 exchange to sell it and buy another property of like kind and defer the taxes, defer those gains into the future. Now, many people would say the real estate investor is the one avoiding taxes, but if you look at the real picture here, that $1 million property went from $1 million to $2 million, the property tax rate just doubled. The nearby comps in the area, they just increased in value. The schools, street services, police departments, all of these additional government services in the area, they've just got additional and increased funding because of that valuation increase on that property. And then when they buy that next property and they fix it up and they work on it, the next neighborhood benefits. When you start to take away these benefits, the real estate investor looks out at the market and says, you know what, I see nothing but risk. I'm going to take all of this to pay what, 40 or 50% tax? I'm going to risk $1 million to pay 40, 50% tax and in this changing economy? No, I'm not going to do it. What's going to happen? Real estate investors are going to stop investing. Some people say, hey, that's a good thing. We're going to see values fall. Values come back down to reality. But what we're really going to see is the police department shrinking, the streets getting dirtier, more crime because there's less consequence to getting caught. And you're just going to start seeing values of these homes fall and fall and fall. And with it, the quality of these properties are going to continue to deteriorate. We're going to walk into a disaster, not just in real estate, not just in the economy, but just broadly. Everything is going to change. We're going to see layoffs skyrocket. If these unrealized gains go forward and all these tax policies move in, and most people are not working for a company where it's 1 or 2 employees. Most people are working for a company that has 200, 300 employees, 400 employees. The business of that enterprise is worth $100 million in the eyes of the government, right? Or at least. You look at how they're already qualifying properties. They say that property tax revenue has skyrocketed the last 2, 3, 4 years on these artificial valuations that many people say aren't true. If they do the same thing for business, just imagine what would happen. We're walking into disaster here. This is a disaster for America. That's not a political position. Just look at the everyday middle class. At the end of the day, the rich always get richer. It's the law of the land. If this crisis unfolds, they're going to get rich. They're going to take the riches out to a different country. And then when things get really, really, really bad, they'll come in here and they'll identify as a nonprofit. They'll do something and they'll come in here and start scooping up the properties left, right, and center. They'll figure a way around this because that's what rich people do. Rich people have legal teams, tax attorneys, and they'll figure out the best way in which they're going to monetize this situation, monetize their crisis. They always say, don't let a crisis go to waste. You think they'd let this crisis go to waste? Or you think they would let the everyday school teacher go out there and buy a beautiful, nice home, and everyone's going to be able to go out there and buy houses? It's more than likely not. I mean, I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see it happen. But you just look at factually and historically. When have we ever seen a scenario where it's just been a big win for the middle class? Look at even the last 3, 4, 5 years, right? When they sent all the stimulus checks, everything, who really won? It was the billionaires. They multiplied their fortunes. It was the rich. They got richer. The everyday American got stuck holding the bag, right? I mean, when you have 25% of Americans that can barely afford to feed themselves and 21% of America already on welfare, these policies, we're going to see those numbers go up. Let's have a conversation about this below. Do you think this is a good thing for America, or do you think we're walking into a really, really big problem? And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in American history, and already you're starting to see it. CEOs, executives, everyday Americans are looking out at this economy and at this country as a big red flag, wondering what's the next big crisis going to be? Is it going to be this, or are we going to be walking into something else? We're walking into something big here, a big wealth transfer. So if you have any issues at all in your credit report, late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, we'd love to help you, give you a free consultation at my company, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. Book a call below. Love to help you. And check out our views on Trustpilot. Catch you next video.